Hi, this is Terry Farrell, Dax from Deep Space Nine, and welcome to Random Trek.
Good morning, good afternoon, and welcome to an animated episode of Random Trek. I am your cell-shaded Captain Christopher Ingle, joined as always by my stop-motion commander, Brennan, the Mystical Mar. Brennan, how we doing?
Well, this should be interesting.
It really should. Absolutely. Today we are taking a look at the 3 animated series that we have, and an episode from each of them, and kind of what we thought. So let's, not with any delay, let's get right into it. Our first episode today is from Star Trek The Animated Series, Season 1, Episode 5, More Tribbles, More Troubles. It's a Tribble episode. I think we know what we're getting with this.
Exactly.
You know, I would love to see a new Tribble episode at some point. Seriously. Like, I think we're due for
I agree.
A Tribble-related episode. But this one takes place after the original one. So the Enterprise is escorting these robotic cargo ships that are carrying quintotriticale, not to be confused with quadritriticale, which is the seed grain for the famine-stricken planet of, it's Sherman's planet. And they come across a Klingon battle cruiser commanded by Koloth, and it fires on a Federation scout ship. So the Enterprise beams the pilot aboard. And the Klingons use a new energy weapon which incapacitates a starship, and they demand that they hand over the pilot. Spock suggests that such a weapon has to require a lot of energy, and Uhura notices that the 2 cargo ships were not disabled. So Kirk has the cargo ships set a course to ram into the Klingon ship. And with the energy gone, the Klingon ship is forced to flee. But it ends up damaging one of the cargo ships. So the Enterprise cargo hold isn't enough space for this. So they have to load the grain all over the deck of the Enterprise. Every floor or every level, they've got to store this grain. We find out the pilot of this vessel is one Cyrano Jones, the interstellar trader known well to Kirk.
Oh, yes.
Yes, to Kirk. So he got out of the task that was assigned at K7 to clean up the Tribbles. He used a genetically engineered creature known as a glommer, that preys on Tribbles, that eats Tribbles. And so now Jones claims he is selling a safe, pink version of the Tribbles, and it's genetically engineered to be sterile. But the Klingons show up again, and they attack. They disassemble the engines of the other cargo ship, and bathe the Enterprise in radiation. And the size of the Tribbles begins to increase exponentially. Kirk refuses to hand over Jones, mainly because he is a Federation citizen. Not really because of that, but that's the excuse he used. No, but actually he does suspect that the Klingons wouldn't have violated Federation space if Jones weren't of some value to them, if Jones didn't do something. So he's trying to figure out what's going on. The Klingons again use this new powerful weapon. Kirk responds by having the Tribbles beamed aboard their ship. We know they won't like that. So now at a disadvantage, Koloth admits that the Klingon planets were being overrun by Tribbles sold by Jones. The glommer, which was actually created by the Klingons through genetic engineering, was stolen by Jones, and it is the only hope of controlling them. Kirk returns the glommer, but the huge Tribbles that have been growing on the grain and everything else scare it away. Koloth orders his first officer to shoot a large Tribble, only it pops like a balloon and releases many, many smaller Tribbles. McCoy, discovering this in advance, that the large Tribbles are actually Tribble colonies, injects the remaining Tribbles on the Enterprise with this serum to slow down their metabolic rate and truly make them the kind of Tribbles that Jones claims. And that's how we end this episode. It's just another great way to take on this Tribble problem. You know, we know they multiply. What if they grew big? And the twist is they're still multiplying.
Yes.
You know, this one was a lot of fun. And most of these episodes aren't great. And I'll say overall, it isn't a great episode, but it is a fun episode.
It absolutely is.
Yeah, it's just it's fun to see them at it with each other. I gotta be honest, I want to learn more about what was that Klingon weapon, because we never see it used again.
Yeah, that's true.
It reminds me of the plasma bolt that the Romulans used in Balance of Terror.
Yes.
Only this isn't as destructive. It just kind of, like an EMP, shuts everything down.
It does, yeah.
It's interesting, but I guess that's, what happens a lot of times. There's, not a lot of continuity between these series. So
Now, this is actually a fun episode.
But it is fun. Yeah, it's enjoyable. It's a blast.
It's no Tribble at all.
Stanley Adams returned as Cyrano Jones. That was a nice touch. It was really great. And it was also great to get one of our returning Klingons all the time. Kang, Koloth, and Kor.
Oh,
so
yes.
To see Koloth was really nice. And, of course, Koloth comes back a lot in Deep Space Nine.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I this is one I recommend seeing. You don't have to see it again and again and again. But see it. It's part of this Tribble trilogy now that we have, and I enjoy it. All right.
I agree.
Our second series was Star Trek Lower Decks. We're going to Season 3, Episode 2, The Least Dangerous Game. Now, this is a play on a short story that I read a lot as a kid by Richard Connell, and it's called The Most Dangerous Game. I don't know if kids today still read this story in school, but the basic plot of The Most Dangerous Game is that this man who is a hunter ends up stranded on an island, is found by this eccentric man who welcomes him and gives him shelter and food and everything, and he finds out he's a hunter, and he says, I have a game we could play. Why don't we go hunting? But what we find out is the man is so bored with lions and tigers and bears, oh my, that he is hunting what he considers the most dangerous game, and that is man. And so he lets him out. And actually, in a funny way, it is the B-plot of this episode. It's named after the B-plot. I don't know why. So let's get into the specifics of the actual episode. So Boimler is frustrated that playing it safe is holding him back from advancing in rank. In fact, they start out playing what is essentially Dungeons & Dragons, but is it Klingons and Empires or something to that effect? It's Klingons.
General Martok.
And it's, narrated by General Martok. But Boimler decides to try something new. He's going to say yes to more opportunities. And as a result, ends up saying yes to becoming the prey for an alien hunter named Crunch, who is temporarily seeking refuge aboard the Cerritos. While the elevator...
That's why I love the design of this guy.
Yes, he's so cool. Looks scary, a little bit like a beefed-up predator. Cool. I really like him. But what happens is Boimler starts to flee. Eventually he tries to turn the tables on Crunch, but he gets easily captured. And he thinks he's going to be killed. He's freaking out, but then Crunch takes a selfie at the last second and releases him. No, we practice catch and release. What are you doing? And he commends him to the captain for participating in this. And from this moment, it kind of is an awakening for Boimler, who decides that now he's going to be bold Boimler from now on. And it's kind of an interesting B-plot, even though it kind of starts it out. And it's just Boimler being wild and funny and goofy, but also, this is an interesting idea, and I'll get into the Mariner story in a second, where cultures in Star Trek are so different. They aren't always what we here on Earth or in America or anywhere else in the world would think. They're very different. And it reminds me a little bit of the episode in the first or second season when Wesley Crusher took the entrance exam for Starfleet Academy, and he came across that species that was insulted by him, and he apologized at first, and he was more insulted, and they were trying to figure it out, and a problem was about to happen, and Wesley starts insulting it back, and they kind of have a tete-a-tete right there, and I like you, human. You're nice. And he walks away. And we discover that species doesn't respond well to politeness. Something you wouldn't think of. So when Boimler thinks, hey, I'm being hunted. I'm being hunted! You think it's a bad thing, but in reality it's just something different. What do you think of this aspect? This really different, funny take on different cultures.
Well, it definitely is in keeping with the lower deck sense of humor.
Mm-hmm.
But it is, in its own way, an interesting commentary.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it absolutely is. It is fascinating, and it's different, and it's told in its own way. But I love it. I enjoy it. It was kind of inspirational in its own way, in its Boimler-esque way. But the focus of the episode, despite the name of the episode being The Least Dangerous Game, is on Mariner. So Mariner is forced to join Ransom, Rutherford, and Billups on a mission to repair this orbital lift. It's an elevator. They can't take shuttles and stuff back up and down, so they have to use these elevators to get around, and one of them's broken. So there are people that are trapped up there, so the Cerritos beams them aboard the ship to hold them for now. That's how Crunch ends up there. But the rest of them go there. So Ransom is trying to make Mariner work hard. And he knows that she's going to try and get out of it, going to try and do things. So he orders the engineering team of Rutherford and Billups to practice their diplomacy and sends them down to the Pleasure Planet. It's a pleasure planet. And send them down there. Meanwhile, Ransom and Mariner, need to do the work to repair the lift. He wants to prove her insubordination once and for all. So Ransom struggles with these repairs. He is not an engineer, clearly. And Billups and Rutherford end up messing up contact with this species. At first it's a party, everything's great, and then it starts to not go great.
Yes.
Mariner wants to help them because she keeps saying, what are you doing? This is stupid. This is ridiculous. Why? And he's like, no, we're going to solve this. We could fix this. It's fine. Mariner gets in a sky, or it's a halo, basically a halo outfit, and is going to skydive to the surface to go help them. But mid skydive, she gets a communique from Ransom and says, you know what? I thought you were going to run away. I'm really sorry. I didn't count you better. Tell you what. Why don't we go ahead and meet up at this point in the elevator? We'll go down. We'll save them. And then we'll just get this all figured out. And she's already free falling. So she has to prematurely pull the cord, go inside, and then do the obligatory, I gotta climb the stairs. Which she does. And she makes it back up there, and then he says, well, we don't have a shuttle, and we can't transport down, so we're going to do a skydive. And she's like, oh. So she's skydiving, she's sleeping while she's skydiving. But they get down there, and Ransom ends up solving their diplomatic ties with the one thing Ransom knows really well, and that's himself. He rips his shirt a la Kirk and shows how ripped he is. And they're like, ooh, ooh. And he fixes all the problems with a bare chest. Yeah. And they rescue Rutherford and Phillips. But Ransom does thank Mariner for following his orders, even though he doesn't seem to know. But he says, but this doesn't make up for your past behavior, but it shows you can do this. You can. And that's the end of that episode. As usual, it's got its combination of irreverent humor and goofy silliness, but there is a heart to it. Between Boimler's learning the hard way of different relations with different species, we have, we get Mariner finally learning that Ransom does have faith in her. It's not just, I'm trying to get rid of you. He has some faith in her and understands. But she also sees that where Ransom's strengths are, and that his beefy facade, actually served a purpose. And maybe he's not such a bad guy after all. What did you think of this episode?
I really liked it. It's hard to find an episode of Lower Decks I don't like. I enjoy almost all of them. Yeah.
It's really good writing, really clever, and they're just fun. They're funny, they're fun, they're entertaining, and it's still Star Trek. You're still getting those essences of Star Trek, and I really appreciate that.
Absolutely.
All right. Moving on to the quote-quote kiddie show. It's not the kiddie show. It's Star Trek Prodigy, Season 1, Episode 15, Masquerade. So, for this one, the Protostar ends up stopping for repairs at a starport. That is... It's in Romulan territory, I believe. It's on the other side of the neutral zone, let's put it that way.
Yes.
They meet up with a geneticist named Dr. Jago. And Dr. Jago tells Dahl that Dahl is actually a human that is augmented. Dahl has been really trying to find, what species am I? What am I? Well, Dahl is a human that has been spliced with 26 other species. Wow.
Very interesting.
And she gives Dahl this implant that can help unlock his dormant abilities, make him stronger, make him smarter, make him, everything increased. Meanwhile, the Romulans end up entering the neutral zone to try to steal the Protostar. But they need the captain to gain control of the ship. So they pursue the crew, which causes Okana, who's with them, if we remember the great Okana, he flees. He leaves.
The outrageous Okana.
Yes, the insanely insane Okana, in my opinion. But I don't think we've reviewed that episode yet. But yes, Okana. Dahl ends up subduing the Romulans with some of his new abilities, but he loses control. Murph ends up helping to repair the attackers, and they escape on the Protostar. Zero removes the implant for Dahl, and he does return back to normal. Meanwhile, on the Dauntless, we see Ensign Essentia reveal to the Diviner that she is actually the Vindicator, who is a member of the species. That was a twist at that point. Well, not really. Not really. I think we kind of knew it, but anyway. So that is that. This is another episode where Dahl is trying to find himself. And we get a lot of that in that first season. I kind of ask this to you every so often. Because we're jumping around a bit. What do we think of Dahl, really?
He has a lot of potential.
Mm-hmm.
But he has to learn to use it.
Mm-hmm. I think, too, there's an important aspect here. He's so focused on where he's come from that he's not focused at all on where he is or where he's going. He keeps looking back, and that's how you hit your head on a pole. If you get my meaning.
Exactly.
When I was a kid, I was always... Well, when I wasn't running around campus, kid with ADHD, But I would often be looking down at a book or reading or distracting myself with something, and I was never focusing on where I was going. You know, I'd be lost in thought or whatever, and I can't count the number of times I walked smack into a pole. Because I wasn't looking. I wasn't thinking.
Wow.
Yeah, I was a clumsy kid. But I really think that Dahl is like that too. He keeps smacking himself headlong with a pole. You know, he's so not focused on the right things. Eventually, by the end of the second season, he figures this out. He figures out where he's going, and he's not as concerned about where he was. But, you know, this was an interesting to see 26 other species were a part of it. But it really makes me question, this is something that has not been answered. Where did he come from? Who is this kid? You know, I would love to learn more. I would love to find out maybe that this was a remaining work from the work of Sun, of the past. You know, like somebody was carrying on his work.
Well, we know it was a Sun.
But we don't know from where or to who, or, you know, they don't go into more detail. And that's why it's like, I still don't know if it is a Sun who was doing this. Or was it a follower? Was it more work that Sun did? And it would be Alton. Was it Alton? Is it Alton Sun? Who's the Sun from Enterprise?
Arik Sun.
Arik Sun. That would have been my guess, is Arik Sun, because he was the last that dealt with eugenics.
I think that's what they said in the...
Is it? I may need to look at again more carefully.
Episode.
But still, we're way beyond him, so I'm still more curious, and I'd like to know, and I feel like that's rushed a little bit. But anyway, your thoughts overall on this episode?
I don't think it's essential.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a bad episode. It's a take it or leave it episode.
Mm-hmm. It does a couple of things, but you could have done them in their own way. One, it evolves Murph into this next level. We get Murph more now, not as the slug looking thing, but as the humanoid looking thing ish, kind of. It's got arms and legs, so.
Ish.
And he does a lot of things, which is really cool. But we do that. We do get a little bit of backstory for Dahl. Okay, that's great. And it does play into the ending when they want to join Starfleet. Is it the ending of this season? I think. Yeah, it is this season. End of this season.
Admiral, what's his name?
Yeah.
Annoying Admiral, what's his name?
Jellicoe?
Jellicoe, yes.
You know me, I'm a Jellicoe fan. I'm the only one in the world, but I'm a Jellicoe fan. Oh. You know, and I just realized, too, the other day I was watching Stargate, and I realized that Ronnie Cox is also one of the main bad guys in Stargate. The Stargate
and he's
franchise.
in RoboCop.
Yeah, but I keep forgetting those things. I forget he exists, because I think of him as Jellicoe, always. Anyway, it's a fine enough episode as they tend to be, but I would agree with you. Overall, it's not really necessary. It doesn't do much. There is some furthering of some plot threads, but it doesn't further everything entirely. So. Oh.
Absolutely.
Yep. All right, so that's all 3 animated episodes. You know, as usual, it's not that they're all weaker, because especially Lower Decks. Lower Decks is amazing, and continuously across the board. Prodigy is fairly good, but it's geared towards kids. We get it. It's going to have some bumps, but they do a good job. And then, you know, animated series is animated series. It was from the 70s. It is what it is.
Yep.
But next week, we are going to move along into Star Trek Picard, I believe is where we go next. So let's take a look. Picard. We're going to go into Picard Season 3, Episode 6, The Bounty. Okay.
Well, anytime we could visit Season 3.
Yes! I believe, too, this is where they go to Geordi for help, and Worf, Raffi, and Riker go to Daystrom Station. So this reintroduces Data, I believe. And the taking of the cloaking device. So.
Indeed.
I like this one. I overall, I do. I'm
our
excited.
schedule may be very to change.
Yeah, we're not sure of a few
problems.
things. Yeah, we've got some medical things we've got to take care of. So the plan is for that to be next week, and then the week after we're going to watch The Searchers. But we may mix things up a little bit just because of timing. So if Brennan is not available next week, you might actually just get another bonus episode from me. Don't know what it'll be, but you get a bonus episode. And we'll go from there. But we do know that the next regular episode that we do will be for Star Trek Picard Season 3, Episode 6, The Bounty. And don't forget, next week, or by the time this is released this week, we have brand new episodes of Strange New Worlds premiering. And I'm very, very, very excited. They have actually released the titles of...
Oh, I didn't read them. Don't tell me.
Oh, you don't want the titles? It doesn't tell us anything else about them, just the titles. So you don't want the titles for any guesses?
Surprised.
Okay. I've looked through some of them and I'm kind of excited. And one of them, I have a theory. I do know that one of them, I don't know which one yet, is going to have Jim Henson puppets. The crew is going to turn into Jim Henson puppets.
You're kidding me.
You didn't hear that last year? When they teased I think it was last year, they teased, they had a teaser, and you see Pike's hair and everything, and then they turn around, and it's a puppet. It's a Muppet. And so they,
I had
yes.
no idea.
So in the same way that we had the musical episode, they're going to have an episode where the crew are puppets. Now, to what extent that's going to work, I don't know. There's an episode that makes me think we might get a soap opera of some kind. I don't know. But who knows? This could go in a lot of ways, and I'm really excited to see where it goes overall. Because we're just down to a handful of episodes. 10 episodes here, and then another 6 down the line. And this will be the last Star Trek series that Jonathan Frakes directs, I believe. Because we're watching the end of that. I know. Boo.
I'm very sad.
It is very sad. It's not as sad as the fact that we won't have any new series either after season 5 and then
that's even worse.
Academy season 2. I know, right? It's just crazy. I don't know what's going to go on, what's happening. But we will be here, and we will continue to love Star Trek and to push through Star Trek and, continue to share our love of it, and we will rewatch, the best of both worlds over and over and over again.
Absolutely.
Brennan, where can the people find you?
You can find me on Blue Sky, Instagram, Threads, and you can find me on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple. And page turners, they were not.
You can find me on Twitch and Twitter at Ingle1984. But as always, we end every episode, kapla, and live long and prosper.
Peace and long life.